defending the voiceless, the wrongly accused, facing the foe whose motives are abused. In the courtroom battlefield, they'll stand tall, unveiling corruption. They'll conquer it all against the corrupt prosecutors' wrath. Words like weapons cutting like a path, challenging the system that's filled with lies, seeking truth and justice in their eyes.
Hey, oh, folks. Yeah, sorry for the little delay, and I'm still chasing down my guests. This was pinned down yesterday, so yeah, still waiting. Welcome. They my guests today are that I know of are Ceddy, Nash and Doug Weinstein, and we might also get an appearance by Happily Angry Lawyer. So yeah, so we learned a few days ago that we are down to one. We are down to one defendant in the original YSL RICO case. They started out with 28 defendants. Then, yes, Dave, I saw it. I replied to it. And now where were I? Seen it, replied to it. Started out with 28, and then they went down as people pled out after being in jail for months and months and months and pled out. A few of them pled out to then appear as witnesses in the trial. And as the trial grew closer, some of the pleas, some of the people who pled out got more and more favorable pleas, as in, don't have to testify anymore. And then a bunch of guys got severed. So when trial started in, let's see, what was the date? Opening statements was November 27th, 2023. There were 6 defendants in the first RICO, and they were 6 defendants who then should have been in the YSL RICO Part 2. But, as we know, a bunch of them have pled out, and now it's down to Christian Eppinger. The only remaining defendant in the YSL RICO is Christian Eppinger. And to my knowledge, I don't know if he will plead out. There's no information about it. But as of now, there will be a YSL RICO trial consisting of one defendant. And if he wants a trial, then yeah, that will be interesting. That will be really interesting. And that, in that case, should start later this month, I believe. Later this month. And so, yeah, so that is where we are. And I'm waiting for my guest to finish chewing. Yeah. All right. He seems to be done now. He seems to be done now. So everybody, give your warmest welcome to Doug.
Hey, everybody. Hope
Hey.
everyone's doing well.
Yeah.
Look at this.
I'm
It looks like I'm on a throne where I'm sitting.
Are you in the new Pirates of the Caribbean movie, Doug?
I should be. I should be. I am.
Yeah.
I am attempting to take a vacation with my family, so I am sitting in Pandora Land in the Animal Kingdom of Disney World at the moment.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you
See,
so
I have
much.
my Disney glasses on right here.
Ah. Oh, yeah. Your glasses were talked about during the trial, and there was sometimes I had a poll up to see, okay, what color glasses will Doug have today?
I usually try to match my tie. That's what I usually try to do.
Yeah. I have one pair, and then after 10 years, Miss Viking tells me, you need to get new glasses. You're so scratched up, they don't work. And then I go get a new pair.
Yeah. So I don't have like $100,000 watches that I switch out every day like Joe Tacopino. I've got $20 frames that I switch out. So
Yeah.
that is my speed.
Yeah, not everybody can be in possession allegedly by several $100,000 watches.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sure
Oh.
Tacopino gets his legally and doesn't steal them from Young Doug. So
Allegedly.
I'm sorry I'm late. I had to find
No
a
worries.
decent internet connection and it took some work.
Yeah, no worries, because my other guests are even more late. So
Perfect. I just, it's not my style to be late. So I apologize to everyone that was expecting me at 3.
Yeah. Now, this showed up in my feed, and Danielle told me, we want your reaction to the new Fani Willis interview. Have you seen it?
The timing is perfect. I just saw it. I
You
just saw it.
Yeah.
And you go ahead, show it.
I haven't actually seen it. I just seen
Oh.
it popped up, so I haven't seen it. So this will be interesting. It's a 50-second clip from the interview.
Because victims of all races, of all socioeconomic status, matter. So stop talking to attorneys that don't live in Fulton at all. They live in safe neighborhoods. Their children go to safe schools. My children in these communities, they matter too.
Respectfully, Ms. Willis, I asked you about the two murder convictions that never came through. What's your message to taxpayers and to the taxpayers that may have...
My message to taxpayers is it was an amazing time. We had 19 convictions. The community is safer. We made sure that we got the resolutions we want. If they're unhappy with sentencing, they should elect other judges.
And you also relied heavily on the RICO law that you had
and
too.
I'm going to continue to rely on it because it works, it's effective, and it tells jurors the full
measure. Well, other people may say with the other people that it wasn't
people
effective.
weren't elective as a DA.
I mean,
that's the result she wanted. This is the result she wanted. Does anyone believe that this is the result she wanted? If this is the result she wanted, then I question her goal setting abilities and objectives.
What an absolute pile of manure!
No, I think. Come on, it's a steaming pile of shit. She is doing her best to spin an outcome that is not her desired outcome.
Absolutely not.
And you know what? A few things. I live in a safe neighborhood. Yeah, I've heard that from her before, that I live in a safe neighborhood, implying that she lives in some, why is she raising her kids in an unsafe neighborhood? I know her phone pings around Hateville all the time, around Nathan Wade. Hateville, it has some very nice areas as well. She doesn't live on Cleveland Avenue. Let me put it that way. You know, when I
No,
had the
oh,
when I had the Brownsville golf course at 6 a.m., I'm not driving by Fani Willis's house to get there.
I mean, the audacity, because Fani Willis, to my knowledge, has never lived in any hood.
I don't
Well,
know.
I did some research, and I must say I have not found any addresses of hers in dangerous neighborhoods.
You know why she did such a bad job on that interview? It is because it was more of an ambush interview that she, was just approached. She will generally only speak to a single reporter in all of print and all of television media. There's one reporter she'll speak to who in general is a very good reporter. But with her, he pitches softballs because that's how he gets access to her. So she'll only speak to this one reporter, and she doesn't have to handle hard questions. So this is what you see when she has to answer a legitimate question. And then, may I just continue my rant for a moment? Because at this, I mean, you can't shut me up on this one. I mean, I will if I'm your guest. So if you tell me to, I'll shut up.
Go ahead.
But I figure, and of course, I give my unfiltered thoughts. Well, no, they're filtered. I mean to say all of this, which is she is a shitty DA. This idea that if you don't like the results, the sentences, you should replace the judge. Now, listen, these are, for the most part, negotiated pleas. Her office is agreeing to these sentences.
Yeah.
For the most part. Not always. I was at Garlington's. They wanted a stricter sentence. However, the sentence that she gave Mr. Garlington, the reason that Judge Whitaker gave that sentence is it's consistent, even though that was a non-negotiated. It was consistent with the prior negotiated pleas that, once again, Fani Willis's office had agreed to. So for her to blame this crappy outcome on, and by the way, this was a just outcome for the most part, but for her to blame this outcome on Judge Whitaker, no, there are different people we need to elect in Fulton County, but those different people are not Judge Whitaker. That different person is Fani Willis.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, I'm done now.
They did. The judiciary of Fulton County did swap out a judge.
Well, they went from an elected judge that was biased toward the state
to an actual neutral judge.
Not literally in bed with the state, but figuratively. Yeah. And they went from that to a judge that, oh my God, followed the law, made rulings on the merits.
Who knew?
I knew and followed the rules of evidence. And when you put in place a just judge, this is the outcome you get when you present a shitty case.
Yeah. And what Judge Whitaker did was, and Fani Willis should be really, really happy that Judge Whitaker said, I will not change prior ruling. Because if Whitaker would have looked into prior rulings, this case would have been different outcomes.
And that's a great point you make, Nick. And I think people need to understand that. There were a host of rulings over over close to a 2-year period that were made by Judge Glanville, many of which were in error, many of which would have resulted in the case being overturned. And Judge Whitaker refused, whatever. She was not willing to go back and revisit any of those rulings. So that's a great point that most people don't understand and most people don't make. She's very lucky that Judge Whitaker didn't go back and revisit that. Judge Whitaker was shocked by some of those rulings. I'm trying to remember. Oh, I know. There was one of them where and Judge Whitaker, you could see the look on her face, couldn't believe it. The indictment one, where the indictment wasn't properly redacted when it was read to the jury.
Yeah, I mean, when
You know-
my memory starts coming back to all the shady things
Yeah,
that
I mean, the thing that I'm struck by is it could. First of all, I think it's worse if that's what you intended. I think that actually makes it worse. The second thing, it could have been much worse. Like, this wasn't the worst possible outcome for this case. If,
oh no.
you know, by far.
No.
I mean,
Mm.
if you look at if all those, I don't know how many it was it a dozen, 15 something defendants that didn't have appointed attorneys out the gate? I mean, look at
About a
Demise McMullen. Yeah, he didn't have a lawyer for 3 years. If all of them had been represented and then being fought for from the start, it could have been even worse.
Oh yeah.
What if
oh yeah.
Thug? What if Thug would have taken this? What if Jeffrey would have taken this all the way to a jury? Does anyone doubt he would have also gotten not guilties across the? Well, mostly not guilties, I would think. Maybe they'd have hung some of the, drugs and guns in his house on him. I don't know. But it would have been a far worse outcome if Jeffrey would have taken this to the jury. She's lucky he pled out to what he did.
Yeah.
Pleads to.
Extremely lucky. And looking back at this, because I was planning on first going back to. I just want to show one really interesting image here. Hold on, how it actually looked at the not the absolute start of this case, but let's see here. This was first day of jury selection. There were a lot of tables in there. There were quite a few more than the 6 defendants who started in YSL trial part.
We started jury selection in YSL 1 with 14 defendants.
Yeah.
I think. I think.
Yeah, that number seems correct. And then there were 6. Then a bunch got
I'm
different
trying
reason.
to remember.
Got severed.
Various reasons.
The funniest is the person who is still in, who hasn't pled out yet. The funniest sever ever, because he had a relationship with a court employee.
Yeah, he allegedly had a relationship with the deputy sheriff.
Very funny.
That's Christian Eppinger, Mr. Johnson's client, is the last one in there.
Yeah, there's the whole mess with the laptop stemming from the friendly relationship, which was there a special master from, was it Deloitte or something? It was one of the big 4.
There was a special master appointed. Yeah, for those that didn't follow that particular earlier day in this trial, that's when and there's that's when I first learned how shady Fani Willis was, because that was during jury selection, right? Few reporters had been coming to trial because it was so boring. 10 months of jury selection. Maybe we'd have 1 reporter sitting back there. On this day, there were a dozen reporters there. And like, what is going on? Why are there a dozen reporters here? Court starts 20 minutes into court. Judge Glanville excuses himself from the bench. And then hey, Ceddy. And then the next thing you know.
Let me turn my camera sideways.
Okay. The next thing you know, like 20, 25 scorpions and sheriff deputies storm into the courtroom and seize Mr. Johnson's computer and take Mr. Eppinger. And clearly Fani Willis had tipped off the press to come on that day to watch this, show trial, this show event. And they appointed a special master to go through Mr. Johnson's computer. And they, by the way, as you know, Jim, they didn't follow the proper procedures before you seize an attorney's laptop.
Yeah, it seemed like they just went in there and grabbed it.
Yeah, they didn't get the search warrants under the proper procedures they should have done. And I don't really know where that stands right now.
Yeah, I was looking in the docket for something, but I couldn't find a definitive resolution to what became of that.
I saw Mr. Johnson at the plea for Mr. Garlington about 2 weeks ago. But I did not ask. I didn't ask him about the status of that.
Yeah.
It feels kind of personal to get into it.
Yeah.
Mm. Ceddy, welcome.
Hey,
How
What's
are
going
you
on?
doing on a day like this?
Hot like everybody else, right?
I'm in Sweden, and Swedish weather, so not as hot as Atlanta or Orlando. Where are you?
Right
Yeah.
now, I'm in Oklahoma. I'll be in LA this weekend, like some BT stuff, some filming stuff, a media run. Doug might know about it a little bit. I think he'll keep that cat under the bag, in the bag, I
Oh,
guess.
yeah.
It's my neck of the
I
woods.
don't know about what you're doing out there. I'm in the dark sometimes.
Oh, oops. Well, yeah, I'll definitely keep you apprised.
I thank you. I appreciate it. I
Then
didn't
I'll
know
be.
that interview was going to drop. So
Yeah, we had this. We probably had the same reaction. More than
okay.
likely,
Yeah.
yeah.
Elect better judges. Well, she's 50% right, but I think she's wrong about which judge that might need a replacement. And I mean, and for better outcomes, you need in my opinion, which I can say much harsher than maybe you guys can. You guys need less corrupt DAs, in my opinion.
Nick, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Do you think the exposure of both judges hurt or helped people's belief in the system?
I think it hurt, but it showed it could be better.
Yeah.
Because we got two very distinctive alternatives in Judge Glanville and Judge Whittaker. How a proceeding can be done for very, very many people, because we got to see this. Almost every other case that is in front of a judge in Fulton County will not be seen.
Yeah.
Now,
McBurney, he runs his stuff. He has a continuous channel. He's actually,
yeah.
but he gets high praise all the time.
Yeah.
I've never heard anything bad about McBurney. I find it interesting that if we are to believe in a system that we cannot see, it's kind of hard to do that unless it's under like religion or something. And then even then, you still have your moments where you're like, whatever in which people believe in, that's a moment, an act of whatever deity they pray to. So I'm just curious as to how it sounded when she said what she said, because it sounded like an angry child who didn't get their way.
Yeah, it was a bit of tantrums going on from the prosecutor's bench in this trial. At some point, the difference also here between the judges, how the judge controls the courtroom. Because Miss Love shouted at Glanville, and the only way for Glanville to get her to stop shouting was to bring in the jury.
Mm.
So at a couple of times, he told the bailiff, "Bring in the jury," because Miss Love would not stop shouting at him. And then here comes Judge Whittaker, and she just nipped it in the bud. Not doing. No, you're not doing this. And Miss Love just sat down and became silent. That's the difference in respect for the judges.
I think somebody said toss the ears off a donkey at one point.
Someone did say that. Judge Whittaker had control of the courtroom.
Yeah.
Judge Glanville let Adrian Love run wild. And of course, when you let any litigant run wild in your courtroom, they're going to be their terrible negative behavior is going to be negatively reinforced by that. So of course she's just going to continue to get worse and worse. And then you did end up with that day where she's acting out, she's arguing with the judge, and he'd had enough and said, just bring in the jury. But he's the reason he had to get there, because he never controlled that individual.
Yeah.
And by the way, just to be clear, I do not believe that the Fulton County DA's office is corrupt. I believe that. And I just want to put, I think that Fani Willis is a terrible DA. I think that her decision to hire Nathan Wade to and pay her boyfriend to lead the prosecution of Donald Trump, that was corrupt. That was pure
self-interest.
Pure self-interest to the detriment of the whole country.
Yeah, but also the actions of the leadership affects the actions of the employees.
Yeah, but most of the people I work with in that office are fine.
Yeah, because I follow McBurney, I follow McAfee, I follow their how they stream, and all of a sudden you see how the DA or assistant district attorneys, even I haven't seen Miss Love, by the way, in any McBurney or McAfee.
She's in trial. She's in trial this week, by the way.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, she's back.
She's in trial.
Okay.
She's for county trial.
Yes.
She couldn't make it to our meeting in Atlanta that I flew to.
I want to know why Ceddy was smirking when I said I didn't believe the Fulton County DA's office was corrupt. Do you know something I don't know, Ceddy?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Okay.
I did in the best Bostonian accent I could conjure. I did a wicked job on how they're doing it, because there are some things that stand out a lot more than others. One, we all know who should have crossed Woody on their side, and it should have been Miss Love.
Yeah.
Why do you think that was?
You mean you think Woody should have crossed Miss Love?
I think Miss Love should have crossed Woody for sure.
Well, you know, Simone Hilton kind of specializes in difficult witnesses, and they would argue that's why she was the one to do the cross.
I'd argue against, because she has familiarity with him, and she's represented people who actually, quote unquote, unalived his brother, and the whole entire family were very, very, very angered at the way in which she did it, because they believe that his image and aura played a part in how they decided to do that. Hence why she stood in the background when he, quote unquote, said she would have got on her knees and begged me to do these things. There's a lot of other things too. We have a lovely lady that just had a baby, and there's a case of that kid who passed away in jail, and I could Captain America status. I could do this all day, especially this. I knew they were a little bit corrupt, because when I came in there, Jeffrey Williams' family was under the impression that I worked for Fani Willis, and they were told to tell that to them.
I don't doubt, and again, the way Fani Willis would tip off the press when they were going to do nonsense like raid the courtroom so that she could pollute the jury pool, contaminate the jury pool. The way, all you have to do is, talk to Rachel Kaufman, the attorney Rachel Kaufman, about her client that died in Rice Street because of the lies and the things that Miss Love did.
That's a Shane Kendall case. I have a bunch of videos. I have the entire case files.
Yeah, tragic is the wrong word. That's a damn crime.
I have the civil suits and everything that is still ongoing, and it is absolutely abhorrent on how they treated Shane Kendall. And what Miss Love did on these, what do you call it, the
closing?
No, they had 2 hearings in front of a jury where his competency was evaluated. Something I still can't grasp. Why do you put that in front of a jury? But and she lied.
Yeah, well, she lied in YSL constantly.
Yeah, but when you lie about...
But there's fine people on both sides, for sure.
Yeah, when you lie about a kid who has had diagnosis since birth, and she just lied and somehow convinced a jury of a bunch of people to say, yeah, he's competent to stand trial as an adult, and then he was sent.
If I may, on the presentation standpoint on that, Nick, I think I would suggest this. A better way of saying that is always use the word documented, because people, when we're talking like this, it's best to not have ideas. It's best to always say what's documented and what's not, because for whatever reason, the public loves that word far more now than they ever have.
Yeah, I have a few videos from about a year and a half ago about the Shane Kendall case, where I present different parts of that case, including to the documentation of Miss Love lying to a jury, and somehow I can't find who the judge was. It was objected to and overruled.
I don't recall. There's a pretty detailed news story, long form journalism article on that whole situation that I read a while back, and I don't recall, but I think it's in there.
There's a case.
Now that this doesn't mean the entire office is corrupt. Of course, there are. I've seen a bunch of these assistant district attorneys work before McAfee and McBurney. Both McAfee and McBurney have their streams up. I recommend it highly to see that. Oh, there are every judge in Fulton County aren't judge. Well, not every judge acts the same. And one thing about Judge Whitaker, I'm very happy that she is on the shortlist for Georgia Supreme Court, but I'm also very saddened because then she won't be in Superior Court. You need two of her. You need one in the Georgia Supreme Court and one at the Superior Court level. I mean, I was a bit scared before when she was, because she was, according to the people who in my chat who are from the area know a bit more than me, she's very strict usually. But that was the rumor, at least. But I mean, couldn't have.
You remember the day she came in, right? No more snacks, no more music. Button your shirt up. Doug, stop interrupting me. Those things that she was willing to say.
Remember, I was looking at the finances of like the judge finances for their reimbursements, and most, you have like the city councilors that are going on trips and whatnot, and Judge Whitaker's was like the annual economics and law conference in Boise, Idaho in January, and nothing else for the whole year. Just straight business all the way across the board.
Yeah. She did scold me for tweeting during the trial at one point.
Yeah. So there are people who does not celebrate themselves being reelected with a banquet who cost up to $25,000 per table.
Well, I do think we're going to lose her from Superior Court. I'm pretty sure she's going to get that Supreme Court slot. That's the word on the street that she's going to get it, but we'll see.
Which brings hope for any appeals.
But the problem with that, right? The big problem is not just losing her from the bench. It's losing her continued jurisdiction and control over all these probation sentences that all have to go back to her. If she's no longer on the Superior Court, my assumption is, and Jim may know this more than me, my assumption is they go back on the wheel, and I don't know who's going to, end up having these probation. And you see how quick Fulton County is to pull the trigger on bullshit reasons for attempting to revoke probation. So if we don't end up with a good Superior Court judge, and most of them are pretty good in Fulton, but there's some bad ones that I would definitely not want to draw on a bullshit revocation.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the Miles Farley. I'm wondering if the state's waiting for Miles Farley for Whitaker to be off the bench before they proceed with their attempt at his revocation.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, if you look at Thug's revocation petition, for example, there wasn't an allegation in there anywhere. It was just this half-baked, whatever it was. But maybe a different judge doesn't look at the due process concerns and just kind of weighs it through. I don't know.
Yeah, on that revocation, I was really, really hoping she would have a hearing just so that I could watch her abs.
No.
Oh,
You got a call. You got a call.
oh, they got him. They got him.
Yeah, Zach.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm looking forward to
Disney got him. Oh, he will be back. He will be back.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to my hearing. We'll have a hearing before too long.
Oh, dog is
There
back.
he is.
Muted.
Oh.
Oh, he will be right back, I think. Yep.
Man, I have a 30-second story.
Oh,
This
Go
is
right
an Adrian
ahead.
Love case from 2012. I've told the story a few times.
oh.
Adrian Love's from 2012. There was a gun.
Apologize.
There was a gun that was not the murder weapon found at the crime scene. Or not found at the crime scene. It was matched to a bullet at the crime scene, but not the murder weapon. The GBI matched the gun basically to the crime scene, but it was not the murder weapon. Adrian Love's prosecuting, and the gun gets destroyed before the case.
Oh.
So nobody can match the gun. But she gets the report into evidence saying that it is matched.
Hmm.
And in opening statements and in closing, she refers to the gun. It's not the murder weapon. It has been destroyed as the literal smoking gun.
Hmm.
And 3 life sentences.
Yeah, I tend to, because about a year ago I checked her prior cases, and that case you're talking about, she was mentioned on appeal, I believe.
There are a few different ones. I might miss it, probably.
Yeah, because I remember doing a video or stream about a year and a half ago about Miss Love doing shady stuff for 12 years running, because already back in I found a case from 2011 as well where it was really shady, at least according to the documents I found.
Yeah.
But yeah, and also the word on the street was people pleaded with Fani Willis to not keep Miss Love on the payroll.
Yeah,
And,
that is true. That people begged her to not keep her on. Adrian Love has no business having the power that a prosecutor has.
nah, I mean,
Look at
What's
Ceddy.
the-
What's that look for? You disagree with me?
I have a
No, I just find it. It's just her pattern of behavior. You know, she was a judge in a juvenile court. So
Oh, that's horrifying.
that's sometimes my face isn't really like, it's just like
Mm.
I reminisce back to her start, and she went for DA, and
Yeah.
she's a Stoperton native, and
Yeah.
golly, that was a cringe ass commercial, if you will, endorsement commercial, and put it that way.
I will.
And I don't know, I hate to say it this way, but it's as though she's devoid of human emotions and feelings, and even how to portray those. And Doug, I'm fairly certain you can recall this. I know you probably didn't see the video I did, because I know she watched me all the time. That I 100% knew. Her and Brown, they were like avid fans, if you will. And I remember saying, bro, you are yelling at somebody's grandma right now. You are yelling at a woman who said that she was basically, I can't say the word, and she felt uncomfortable by the male presence that you put in front of her. And there's text messages that show these things, and you are grilling her as though you can't have a woman-to-woman conversation and still get what you want. And I'm like, but this is insane to me. It's just the lack of compassion, even if you can't fake it, is insane to me.
Yeah.
I mean, that line from trial was, I was going to say, you don't have to apologize, Miss Love. I know you meant to do it.
Yeah.
That was, I was
You know
heartbroken,
what?
but also
The more we sit here and talk about these
Yeah, that
things,
was a
the
hell
more
of a
we sit
lot.
here and talk about these things, I think, well, maybe it always takes me a while to see things, and maybe the Fulton County DA's office is corrupt as hell. Because the other thing I'm thinking about, what about the investigator that sexually harassed Archelli and Bennett?
Oh,
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
he wasn't suspended, he wasn't put on leave, he wasn't investigated. You know what happened to him? Zero.
yeah.
Zero.
He is.
Nothing.
He's still out there making, in my opinion, making women uncomfortable around him.
I
And
don't think that's opinion. I think that's just
Well, it's a
that's
fact. I
documented.
mean,
It's been
yeah.
documented.
well, it's documented in the YSL trial. I mean,
That's
That
why
is good.
Jim just
I
said.
like that.
Jim just said the line. You don't have to apologize. I know you meant it.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
And speaking of investigators, I can't believe
The Apex unit?
what.
Nothing.
no, go ahead.
Yeah, speaking of investigators, let me check my watch here. What's her name? Gaither? No, not Gaither. The other one. Viborito. Miss Burrito, as the auto translator called her.
I have thoughts.
I have thoughts. And first of all, yeah. Who was the last person documented seen with the $350,000 Richard Mille watch? And now I need to say allegedly, since that watch disappeared, has had work done, extensively work done on herself. Yeah, I've seen old photos of her, and she looks very different now.
You should see the new ones. You come back to America.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
so but that is pure speculation on my part, maybe. But what I meant to say was her position, her new position within the Atlanta PD was tailored for her to become more of an expert in this trial. And I can't believe it's not obvious for everybody else. Or for
I think she's the one targeting the Williams family and the people on probation. I think it's abundantly clear.
Yeah.
But her position, her new position as more or less a supervisor within the police department. This is a woman who failed cop school.
Right.
And anyone on probation from YSL should get their tail out of the state of Georgia and should get their probation transferred somewhere else. I would not stay here and leave myself subject. Just look at the Jeffrey Williams revocation motion. Leave myself at the whims of Fani Willis's DA office. I just wouldn't do it.
Yeah, definitely. If they can and have the means or opportunity, get out of Georgia. It's as you said, it's abundantly clear. They will do any infraction, any little thing they will go for.
Well, here's the credit that has to be given to Fani. She's intelligent enough to know exactly who to infiltrate. I just got as I'm in Oklahoma, I just got my voter ID card, and it's at a church. So the correlation with politics and church, there's other things I'm not gonna say because that'll split the whole entire chat. But the fact that she knows how to infiltrate church and use religion to prop herself up as this fight for justice, that church population votes. Those people that are affected in the jails, they don't vote. They don't know how to vote. They don't know when to vote. They don't even know what it means to them. They barely understand the concept of government contracts, which is funny right now, seeing somebody who's become a billionaire of government contracts in California.
Now be careful, Ceddy. Now I've been called a racist and a misogynist when I say anything against Fani Willis. So
I'm used to it now. there was a thing because people don't know my background, so it's kind of funny. We had when Rachel was with me, it was very interesting because you can't be a certain religion nor race online because apparently you own everything except for messaging. It's kind of funny, but whatever.
Yeah. You know, this is the last thing I'll say about Sledge, but in December of 2022, there were 7 guilty pleas with factual acknowledgments. In 6 of them, they did a line-by-line reading of each factual acknowledgments and confirmed each factual acknowledgement. There's exactly one who didn't do that.
Mm.
And I'm pretty sure you can guess who that was.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The other thing that people may not appreciate, this was just more of this weirdness of this trial. So we would be, when these pleas would happen, they were kind of done in secret. In other words, like, especially once the trial began, once we began jury selection, January 4th or 5th of 23, because what would happen is all of a sudden we'd be down in 1C, first floor, courtroom C, 1C, and court would be starting late. I mean, kind of look around, and maybe an attorney was missing, and they would be up on the 8th floor in 8F doing a plea, not telling any of the rest of us. No, they'd let the news media know, who eventually would begin to tip us off. But they're doing these pleas in secret, which is why I think when Brian Steele kept referring to a star chamber, which I thought may have been a bit extreme, but in a sense it kind of was. You had these secret proceedings taking place. Like Gunna's plea, that was all done in secret. But again, one reporter was tipped off, and he or someone snuck a camera in the court without a Rule 22.
He did that, man. Come on, man. Yeah, I'll say it. You can't say it. Mark Whitney, you a god dang.
Yeah, have you seen some of those sentencings? Like, that's with a couple of the revocations. There's been confusion with, you shall not possess no guns.
Oh, I know their grammar and is poor.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm not going to say more about that. But
yeah, no, I mean,
there are many problems.
Yeah, their grammar's not the best.
They gangs aren't illegal, but criminal enterprises are illegal, but can't hang around gang members. But gangs aren't illegal. It's kind of odd within itself.
Yeah, and I remember one of the Daubert hearing when they had that poor kid from the jail who was the second best of 2, and the first one quit and didn't want to be Daubert. She didn't want to testify as a what was his name? But it was one of these Daubert hearings. They put him on the stand and he tried to explain his methodology of how do you write this down? Well, they tell me. Okay, is that it? Well, yes, more or less. And then, okay, do you go to any seminars? Yes, I do. Okay, what do you learn from that? Well, I already know everything, so I just attend them. And what's going
That's
on
how I feel
here?
about CLE.
Yeah. Well, you have to. The other thing to keep in mind that most people don't know is Daubert in criminal law in Georgia is relatively new. They didn't have the Daubert standard until a few years ago. So I think I think I'm a little snob on this because I dealt with Daubert in civil and federal since the mid 90s. But I think people on both sides aren't really weren't fully versed in Daubert. So you saw some struggling between judges and everyone on Daubert. My favorite Daubert hearing was I guess the first time I really spoke up in court, which is when they had the pinch to zoom.
Oh, pinch and zoom guy. Oh, that was amazing.
It's a proven methodology.
Pinch and zoom.
Yeah.
What? Yeah. I don't have that clip available, but it was so. I sat there because I streamed that, and I'm sitting there. What's going on here? This is a guy who has been working as this forensic video analyst for 25 years, and now in this Daubert hearing, he's presenting his methodology. Well, he gets the video from the investigators and the timestamp. He plays it up to the timestamp, he pauses, takes a screenshot, takes the screenshot over to Photoshop, where he does splits it in 4, and the thing they want enhanced pinches and zooms.
Well,
And that's all.
the most shocking part was that he had testified as an expert witness, I believe, approximately in 60 previous trials.
Yeah.
So, not knowing what artifacts he's introducing through the methodology he uses, not knowing whether he's doing enhancement in the spatial domain, in the frequency domain, saying that there's no standards that exist for video enhancement, saying there's no organization that does it. Absolutely blindly, literally pinching the zoom. And I pray to God nobody was convicted based on his enhancement, because he's no expert. But I'm probably wrong.
Yeah, that's I can't say against it. And he's been doing that job for 25 years. And I told my audience, I had no idea pinch and zoom was a career. I had no idea.
I wouldn't have gone through all this effort if I had.
Get with my science and engineer. Junk science makes me insane.
Yeah.
As an engineer, math guy, junk science makes me crazy. And that guy especially. I'm still irritated, as you can tell. It was 2 years. It was like 2 or 3 years ago that I did the Daubert on this guy, and I'm still irritated by it.
Yeah.
Well, inexperienced experts should piss you off. Just to be honest.
Well, incompetent. I don't mind an inexperienced expert, honestly. As a matter of fact, I would frequently, my favorite expert to retain in a case, seriously, would be someone that did not testify for a living. Was someone that was a professor or was in industry, but it's the incompetence. He is an incompetent expert. He is an expert in nothing. Or what about was it not Gaither? Who was the detective that said he was competent because he had watched Boys in the Hood?
Oh,
Dennis.
Yeah,
I got thoughts on Dennis.
I mean, also one of these things that for me coming in from the outside. I mean,
I keep trying to meet him and he doesn't show up. I keep going to Clippers and Cops, hoping I'll run into him, because I think that's a pretty good program, and it's his program, but he doesn't show up. So
yeah.
Well, he's not going to. He's in St. Louis, and I doubt he's coming back. But I do want to run into him in St. Louis, because I definitely can conjure a good 10 people to come with me to have a good conversation with him and see how he reacts to that, because that shit that he pulled, I was just like, that's one of those, oh yeah, that's on my black card. You have to watch these videos and this shit right here. It's like, bro, no, man. You should have just said, Brett, the trainings that you guys had in Los Angeles, like, I could have said it so much better than that. Fucking movies are not it. But I will say, those movies are shot in the locations in which those spaces and places do exist to this day in inceptions of certain gangs. So it's not as far-fetched, because they do have experts there, but it's not good enough, because at the end of the day, you want that infiltration of people who you actually can call and bring them in to familiarize you with everything as well. So it would have made sense to me had they did like they did with the Lil Durk trial, where they flew in a gang expert from Chicago at his bail hearing, and they decided not to do that. Which,
well, that's the other thing that Jim, that the way they do gang training here, is well, I'll give you an example. If you want to get a PhD in something, right? You're not allowed. No university will be like, okay, you can get your bachelor, your master's, and your PhD all here, because you need this cross whatever. You need cross currents. And the gang training here is all these guys, all in Georgia, all getting together and talking to each other at some boondoggle once or twice a year it's this totally, incestuous situation.
Yeah,
All right.
it is the entire Georgia, or at least Fulton County gang expert, is a circular argument, because one traces one, who affirms the next, who affirms the next, who affirms the next, and all of a sudden it's back to this circle jerk of things, and it's
Well, with that graphic image, guys, I'm going to have to drop off and rejoin my family. Ceddy,
yeah.
contact me. Tell me what the hell's going on later.
Yeah. I didn't know you didn't even have my number. I'm gonna text you my number right now, because there's something we got to talk.
Sorry.
No,
I don't know what's going on. I got to go. See you guys. Thank you very much, Nick, Jim, Ceddy. See you later.
See you later.
Yes, I'll talk to you in a moment.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, going from experts to cops testifying. Do you remember Detective Velasquez, who testified to how he interviews witnesses at a scene?
That's the chapstick guy, right?
Sorry, what you say?
That's the chapstick guy, right?
I don't recall that.
He was on A&E, right? He was on A&E. He was one of those detectives. Yeah, I remember him. Yeah.
Who described how he interviews so-called eyewitnesses. Well, he records it, but if they say something he doesn't believe is truthful, he erases that recording and starts over until he has the story he wants. That he keeps. And I'm sitting there going, you can't do that. Or every recording is subject to discovery. And then after that, because he's the one who does a show with the other cop. What's his name now again?
The donut guy.
Yeah, the donut guy.
God, I destroyed him. Holy smokes. Oh, man. That was one of my highest viewed videos, because I just got him within like 10 seconds of the BS he was spewing. Golly, what was his name? Quinn. Yeah, Detective Quinn. Freaking Quinn.
And Jesus, Mr. Jingles, what have you done? He's never this cuddly unless he has left me a gift somewhere, like a something or a rodent under the bed. So, but I mean, that in itself, with admitting under oath on the stand that he erases evidence, commits witness tampering, more or less.
He doesn't, like, he testifies to it too. He thinks it's the right thing to do, which is, he's like, he's not even trying to be corrupt. You know what I mean? Like, he thinks that is he thinks that is the way to go. And then the attorneys brought up other cops and asked them, is this what you should do? And the shock on some of them, no, that would be completely improper. Yeah.
And now he runs a show of sorts with his friend Quinn, and it's, oh my. Was it Velasquez they asked about, do you see the camera on the building? No, there's the camera on the building. It's the laundromat incident. Where's the video from that camera? Doesn't exist. Okay, let's check with Miss... the custodian of records. Is there recordings of of radio traffic? Oh, yes, there is. Oh, yes, there is. And then we hear in the radio traffic, hey, let this car by. It's the owner. So we can get the video. And then on a later, there are people watching the video right now. So we know people had access to the video, watched the video, but all of a sudden, it's gone. And then you have a guy on the stand who admits he erases video. And
conversation. We don't want to. He said he pulls out his tape deck and records, and if he doesn't like what's said, the way he tried to articulate it, to be fair, was that if I know they're BSing me, why am I going to record it? But then that kind of shows character, I would think.
Yeah.
So, you know, and it
Yeah, but because all of that must be handed over to the defense, because if a witness is suddenly implying, yes, I saw Mr. Smith do this, and there are recordings before where they didn't say Mr. Smith did it, that needs to be handed over to the credibility of the witness. But all of a sudden you might have that witness pointing at the defendant saying, I saw him, and there's no way to impeach. And it's I'm still absolutely flabbergasted about
Why?
some of the things in this trial that many people.
Why? You had a mistrial the very first damn opening statement from Love. Like,
Oh,
that's it.
No, it's not just that. It said Brian Steele. It said Brian Stee. They spelled Steele wrong, which made it like twice as funny.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Oh, I actually have the opening statement lined up because this is the funniest crap ever what Miss Love did on
fucking
opening statement.
wolf
Hold
rubber
on
pack.
here. So here
Oh God,
she
you're
is.
gonna make me watch it. I know what you're gonna do.
I like her jacket though.
Now, this is the law of the jungle, as old and as true as the sky. And the wolf that shall keep it may prosper, but the wolf that shall break it must die. As the creeper that girdles the tree trunk, the law running forward and back. For the strength of the pack is the wolf, and the strength of the wolf is the pack. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.
That, folks, is from the Jungle Book, written by Rudyard Kipling, one of the biggest racists who ever walked this planet.
Top 5.
She probably listens to Kanye West.
Only the new stuff, though. Only the new stuff.
I'm sitting there streaming this trial, going, "Wait a minute, I'm recognizing this. What's going on here?" And then later on, she goes on to say, "Oh yeah, Rudyard Kipling. Oh no.
I mean, that's like the best. That's the best Rudyard Kipling she could have picked. To be fair, that's
Yeah, there are way worse things she could have quoted in the Jungle Book."
What was the point? I don't even.
First words didn't even make sense. If she would have just said the wolf stuff, but that whole verbose beginning, you lose people with that stuff. If I'm going to sit here for 6 months, I think you should be far more succinct with your words. Just we're in a society where bumper stickers will get you elected. Like short messaging, straight to the point is far better. So to me, that was one of the things that I liked about Keith Adams was that it's loud, it's powerful. It's the good talk with your hands, and then you make your point, stop, let them react, make your point, and you get the hell out of there. Her shit was damn near badgering half the time. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to sleep now. There was times on that trial where I would just sleep for about 2 hours and would just watch stuff in like 3 times the speed and be caught up. And it was like, bro, this is unnecessary.
And here we have, I believe, if I caught it. Dun, dun, dun.
The burden shifting.
The dates that are listed in this indictment are what we are asking that you pay close attention to and you evaluate.
Your Honor.
It-
You have an objection?
Yes, sir.
Basis.
For the motion.
We're gonna see it.
The very first motion for Mr.
He's red as hell.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is one of our breaks. I'm going to need to probably ask you to retire to your headquarters at your deliberation room, and we'll call you back in just a minute, okay, when we finish up our business, all right?
Of all the trials I've covered and watched, because I watch a lot more trials than you can see on my channel, I've never seen a motion for mistrial during, well, actually I have. It's the Zachariah Anderson trial also was a motion for mistrial during opening statements. But this,
Remember the court's admonitions, ladies and gentlemen.
Your Honor, last week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago, you ordered the parties to share all of their displays in opening statement to the others so we don't have to have these interruptions. I did that. The state shared with me 4 attachments. That's all they had. That's what I got. What you just saw on your screen, if you don't remember, I'll ask the state to put it up, and I asked for it to be marked as exhibit, is what you already excluded. It states that Mr. Ryan was convicted of murder, and I represent the co-defendant who's not on trial on the appeal. How did that not get sent to me so I could bring it to the honorable court's attention? 1. And 2, how do we just violate court orders? So, yes, I have a serious motion for a mistrial because it's intentional misconduct. That's my motion.
All right.
And I'd like the screenshot to be captured for Mr. Weaver to put in the record.
I'll admit it is next court exhibit in order of the state's presentation anyway, so, all right?
It all could have been over right there.
yeah,
It should have been over right there.
it should have been over right then and there. But and I can't say that with any other judge it would have been a mistrial with prejudice, but with some
So,
it
yeah.
might have.
That judge in New Mexico,
I
like,
know
never
exactly
gonna
what you're gonna say.
do anything. Right.
Yeah, the rust
Yeah,
trial.
there's a couple of times where, yeah, the rest trial definitely had about 3 good mistrials before we finally got one.
Yeah.
And that was basically from the gallant ass DA who decided to quit the very next hour.
Yeah. I mean, and in this trial, you had, with the renewal of prior motions for mistrial, there were 54 motions for mistrial with prejudice in the YSL trial. We're counting in the renewal
How many?
of old ones. 54. So
That you've captured when? That's a low number.
If you was low and high, I don't know.
I mean, there were a lot of renewals of old ones, but
all right.
actual ones, maybe around 30, but then they renewed a bunch of them as Judge Carville was on his way out. And
all right.
So, yeah, so 50, at least to my count. Others have other counts, but that is my count. And
they may not have deciphered between renewals though. So if you're saying renewals, I could agree with that. Yeah, that wouldn't be as far-fetched as that previously.
Yeah. But yeah, this could have been over. And with the New Mexico, yeah,
that's still a hell of a lot.
Yeah,
like only 54, huh?
Only 54. They could have asked for a lot more, but after a while it gets ridiculous. And I mean, this one could have ended. And as it progressed, I mean, I know that Bruce Harvey had some serious ones that definitely should have gone to it. I can't recollect exactly which parts were he argued, but he had some serious ones that should have been granted. And if now, in retrospect, if Judge Whitaker would have gone back and seen and actually redid some of the rulings in this trial, who knows?
She wasn't gonna do that. She wasn't gonna do that. The affinity for Glanville, she wasn't gonna do that. I can guarantee you that one. 100%. There's no way in hell. Glanville's position and influence that's not seen and camera is very far-reaching, very. And the way in which they do courts down there, yeah, just leave that alone.
But with if you go by the actual rule of law, there were a bunch that with the judge discretion, yeah, it should have been tossed. And here we are 3 years later.
So let me ask you this question, and Jim, feel free to jump in on this one. With the ex parte meeting, right? With the actual verbiage that was written, would you agree that that's up to interpretation? When they talk about when you had to disclose the meeting and everything?
Not really. I think there are case law behind it that says you have to disclose in more or less immediately.
Yeah, I mean, there is a version of that meeting that could have been okay, but it wasn't that one. Once you start talking about what lies are okay and what lies are not okay, I mean, it shouldn't happen at all, but
yeah,
if it does, so it needs to be disclosed.
And we still don't know actually how many ex parte meetings there were. So,
oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, there was another one that followed after. That came out later.
I know another one for sure that's hasn't been discussed yet. I'll say that.
Oh, and you can't talk about it?
No.
Nope.
Well, Max did allude to a third one, but I'll leave it at that. I won't say too much because there's allegedly a kind of I don't want to say my source, but it's kind of obvious if you kind of pay attention to social media. There's one where he basically excoriates the shit out of Jeffrey Williams, and had anybody been privy to that, it probably would have been very, very bad going forward, because that would have caused an avalanche of stuff to happen. Because once upon a time, the reason why Glanville allegedly, this is all alleged by the way, that he even wanted to take this case and sell off into the sunset was kind of a revenge tour for a burglary that happened at his house from two young kids who stole a good amount of weaponry out of his house, because, you know, he's military, it's Georgia. And yeah, there's a whole stigma behind all of that stuff that he's still pretty much pissed off at, for the way that gangs are portrayed and illustrated through media. That is the reason why his house was allegedly broken into. How true that is?
I see Cat Not Williams in the chat. She hasn't replied to my, well, I just sent her an invite, but my inquiry if she was available. But if she's in chat,
I get that from women all the time.
Come on, Cat. Come on, Cat. You know you want to be here. You know you want to be here. Now, one of the I wanted Sylvia on here as well, but she's kind of busy at the moment with the
She's at the Diddy trial.
Yeah.
Freaking Westmoreland. Golly, I didn't know that woman was that awesome.
Oh, she's working. Oh, I should be working too, but I'm not. Priorities, Cat. Priorities. No, just joking. Take a break. Take a five. Tomorrow is the Swedish National Day, so I'm trying to. I'm been working up until maybe half hour before this stream started. Luckily, I can do a lot of it from home. Well, luckily, in quotations, because I don't feel especially lucky about it. Let's see here.
How do you celebrate that?
Well, the Swedish National Day is quite new. We didn't have one until late 1980s, and then they decided we need to celebrate the rewrite of Swedish foundational laws of 1974.
Inspiring.
Yeah. Ooh. Now, Midsummer is our actual, where we actually celebrate our heritage and everything.
Thanks.
But yeah, We Scandinavians will take more or less any chance of, hey, let's drink some weird alcohol and eat pickled herring. Every celebration is about pickled herring over here. Now, what did I see over here? Oh, Dave is saying Fani Willis is more corrupt than Kwame Kilpatrick. Prove me wrong.
I don't even remember that guy. I remember the name.
I don't know who that is.
Speaking of, did you see how scared Paul Howard was to even get in a mix of that? That's some behind the scenes stuff that I wanted to put out, but because he's a lawyer, I know better. He was very afraid of Fani Willis when we were conversing about her for a good 10 minutes that I was not allowed to release to talk about. And yeah. Good old Paul.
Oh, Howard, yeah. Oh, former DA Howard. He has knowledge that he won't reveal, and I want to know it. I really, really want to know it. Especially, yeah. I want to know more about because it's really hard to find more information about the Fani Willis and what's it with the not indicted YSL founder. What?
You talk about Mondo?
Yeah, from
Mondo Freeman.
Yeah.
Princeton.
Yeah. I want to know more because all I find is articles
You want to know what happened?
and rumors. Well, I know she represented him, and then she didn't.
I'll tell you what happened. What the hell? Basically, there was a dispute with her client and the mother of his child that led to an alleged shooting and child abuse. The case is actually, had it been publicized by a certain individual who decided to run against her but didn't want to take the counsel of yours truly, which was, oh my God, I had the perfect. Yeah. So basically, yeah, it's a case of domestic abuse and child abuse.
Mm.
And yeah, the details about that are very, very bad.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, I know these things. It's my job.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. But this is one of the things, because he claims to be a founding member of YSL and he's nowhere near this trial. Because
he was going to take the stand for Jeffrey Williams.
He was. Okay. So, he was on the defense witness list.
Mm-hmm.
He was. Oh, I would have loved to hear that one. But then again, why he wasn't indicted at all and nowhere to be seen in the original indictment against YSL, in the RICO and everything, well, that would have disqualified Fani Willis. I mean, how do you put him in when the DA has represented him? You could argue that this case should not have been held under Fani Willis' supervision because she represented a key member of the alleged YSL gang. You could make that argument.
Well, you could make the argument that the alleged member wasn't a member. So there's that part, because if you remember Moontung, he said on the stand, he said, ask Mondo. He said he started YSL.
Poor Moontung. I mean, he really got the bad end of the stick in this trial. And in my opinion, because of bad counseling.
I think Jim would know, right?
I mean, it's the funny thing. Okay, I said this before. Before I'd even spoken to him, so I'm not spilling anything here. But it goes back to the very beginning. There's this plea agreement that is
poorly written, poorly gone through. Yeah.
That's the thing. There are no factual acknowledgments. There never were. There are no defendant's factual acknowledgments. There are no special conditions of probation. They don't exist.
Yeah, they were never read.
Yeah,
Was
they're
that?
not in the
The crimes
sentence.
were never. That's hilarious.
Mm.
In fact, didn't you just post? Didn't you just tweet that like a day or earlier? Right? Didn't I see you tweet that not too long ago?
Probably. I just say stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I just black out and start tweeting angry stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's like it's so foundational. It's like at the trial, I think people assumed that like the basic stuff was right, so they were arguing about, you know, are there factual acknowledgments, his words or the state's words, as opposed to did they actually make it into the sentence? Because you know they were like they had him read the plea agreement, right? If you look at the cover of it, you can tell it's void.
Oh,
Like it's very obvious. If you have the sentence in one hand and the plea agreement on the other hand, and you just compare them, like it's pretty clear. I'm not spoiling anything.
Yeah, and then it was the issues of him. They attributed crimes to him that wasn't him.
That's you, yeah.
And
some bad ones too, actually.
Because he some of the alleged, because Whitaker was really all of this as well when they read out his prior convictions, and about half of them wasn't even him.
Yeah, there's an Anthony. There's an Anthony Sledge.
Yeah,
some of them. Some of them were made up. Yeah, I don't know where some of them came from, but there was actually in December of 2017, there was a guilty. This didn't come out during the trial, but it's public record. There's a guilty plea hearing in the case, the drive-by shooting case, the 15 SC with Garlington and Quindarius Zachary. And Adrian Love was actually the attorney who ran that hearing. And it basically fell apart because she overstated the sentence by about 50 years, the maximum possible sentence, when she was reading out the charges for the judge.
Well,
so
that doesn't.
It goes back. It goes back like a decade.
Yeah, that doesn't. Well, every alleged murder charge in this case, when we actually saw the evidence of it, it was horseshit. Absolute horseshit.
Forget the evidence. It wasn't in the damn indictment.
Yeah, that too.
There wasn't in the damn indictment. I read it. I'm like, yo, what the hell? It's not. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, I remember we talked about this in one of my earliest panel shows when you were on. We talked about this.
There wasn't 50 shootings. There weren't 50. There was no 50 anything. Nobody's even 50 years old.
50 mistakes.
I mean, you have an entire DA's office going through every case and everything, and they make these simple mistakes.
They're still making them too. They haven't learned.
Do you think it's simple or deliberate? Because, I mean, let's be fair. Fuck fair. Let's just be obvious. Shit. She knows she has her puppets within the media. And so even in Mark Winnie running in there with his phone and doing all these things, every exclusive she's gotten or given has only been to one person. Hell, I had to bump into Paul Howard twice, and his security guard sucked. I got to beat the hell out of him.
I think it's both. I think some of the mistakes, they're clearly intentional. I mean, the one that is, okay, so there was this thing with 1611, 131, and 133. In the original indictment, 30 was 131, 52 and 53 were 133. In the re-indictment, they changed the name of the crime in count 30. And then in counts 52 and 53, they made the charges worse. They deleted necessary elements from 52 and 53 to make it match count 30. And then they added 3 more of the same that matched. So they basically made 3 different sets of changes over 6 counts, and then they made matching changes in the overt act. So all in all, they made like 12 perfectly conforming changes. multiple different changes, multiple different places. They all match perfectly, which they don't do intentionally usually. But then they say it's a mistake, and they don't revise the cover. They don't put it on the cover, so you can't see. They hide it inside the document. But I think that's not a mistake.
Yeah, but they did argue it in court at one point about the changes, how they made a non-lesser included into a lesser included. That shouldn't be a lesser included because it's different areas. It's starting to be a long time ago. I mean, we covered this trial for the better part of 2.5 years.
Yeah, 2 and some change.
Yeah, 2 and some change. And some of all of this are starting to blur together that happened in that trial. But what's going forward? Let's see. We have Christian Eppinger. He is the only one left who hasn't been pleading out or any sentencing.
Wait. The other guy pled out?
Yeah. Earlier this week.
What?
What's
Yesterday?
Did I miss this?
It wasn't really big in the.
Yeah, because it wasn't streamed or anything. All of a sudden, it happened on Monday, and I found out on Tuesday or Wednesday. Let's see here.
Damn. And you know the messed up part about that is once we heard that freaking video. Shit.
The average video?
Yeah, that picture video is very, very telling. Very telling.
Yeah, McMullen. He pled out earlier this week with RICO, aggravated assault, 2 counts of aggravated assault. But I don't know what his ultimate sentencing was.
It's a fake 20 years. This is 20 years concurrent with what he's currently serving, his past case, and then 20 years suspended. But I don't think the total additional years is that high because he had a long sentence already. I think it's, if anything, a couple of years extra from what he had before.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm a bit. If anybody I thought would plead out, it was Eppinger.
Nah, can't.
You can't.
Are you gonna plead out to 3 consecutive life sentences?
Oh, yeah, that's true. He wants to stay in court. Or
I think he's already in it to 2060 or something like that. 2050 something. He's already in for a long
He's screwed, but it's not to the level of where he would be ultimately screwed over because once again that tape is very revealing because that cop lied flat out. Understand, lied. And it's like if you don't have the right, if you don't have a lawyer with some balls to point this stuff out, then you can't win at all.
Yeah, because he is. Let's see here. Eppinger's charges are conspiracy to violate the RICO Act, as everybody else. Attempted murder of David Rogers. Attempted armed robbery. Hijacking a motor vehicle. 2 counts of possession of a firearm by a first offender probationer. Theft by taking. 2 counts of possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony. 3 counts of participation in criminal street activity. And conspiracy to commit a crime. And outside, I think he's also have separate, similar charges outside of the RICO.
He does. It's funny about his. Go ahead.
I think because when we saw the video of this, what did they call it? Attempted murder of Atlanta police officer David Rogers. David Rogers, plainclothes, unmarked car, running up to a person, more or less assaulting him. Seriously?
You should call him a racist because all that boy and all that stuff and everything. That's in the South. You don't say that.
No.
Dare I say? Dare I say? you grab this man and all of these things.
Yeah.
Nobody knew he was a damn cop.
Yeah, and I mean, not to. I mean, Officer Rogers is more or less the size of MLS Dave. He's not a big guy at all. And Eppinger is my size, or Ceddy's size. I mean, he's a big dude.
Yeah,
How
I mean,
how did he thought this would end? And cops were reinforcement was on the way.
yeah, they said they were following him for a while, so I don't know
Yeah.
why he jumped out on him right then.
Yeah,
Something's
I mean,
odd.
nobody
The
deserves to
tone.
be shot.
If you listen to the tone of his voice, you find out real quick. Like, oh shit. Well, yeah, you thought that badge doesn't make you have to stand on certain principles as a man. No, it doesn't. It just gives you backup in law. When it comes down to it, all these trinkets and gadgets that you have, even one that violates Geneva Code Convention with tear gas, that's neither here nor there. But even though you have all of these things,
Yeah,
you still, yeah.
If you
Some people
didn't
probably
know,
wonder.
I mean, if you didn't
The
know,
law of the
that-
jungle.
Yeah, law of the jungle.
Wolves in the
If-
jungle, by the way. Didn't know that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you just look at the video by itself, there's no way of telling that it is an officer trying to apprehend a person who has a warrant. There's no way. And I mean, I don't know if how I would have reacted if somebody just jumped out of a car and stopped grabbing me. I would take my cane and beat the ever living shit out of him.
I would have shot him. I carry enough firearms in Georgia. You try to shoot him if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, remove that Eppinger had a warrant on him. Just go by the video alone. That's self-defense. Maybe not the final 3 shots, but at least. But again, you can argue self-defense just
I mean,
looking at the video.
Yeah, they want to say that it's a dangerous place to be. On one hand, this is gang-infested area, but then but you can't defend yourself at the same time. You can't have it both ways. You know what I mean? I don't. I've never been there. I don't know. What version is true, but they can't both be.
Yeah, and this, barely 5'7" cop jumps out of his unmarked car in plain clothes and starts grabbing a 6 foot. What is he? Eppinger 6'2", something like that. He's a big dude. I mean,
Just looking at him.
Yeah. I mean, in any other case, what would the outcome have been? Even if Eppinger wasn't armed, what would the outcome have been just by that? Well, usually
qualified immunity. Qualified immunity would have been what it is, because he would have punched him in his face a couple of times, then he would have got shot. That's how that typically goes.
Yeah. But I mean, just looking at the video, but then again, then you add on the things, and the jury might say, well, he's a cop. Yeah, how can you tell?
Well, that's what I'm wondering.
It shouldn't be hard, though. It shouldn't be hard for a lawyer to essentially point out, take them through the whole entire thing of clothing and identifiers. If you can establish identifiers with the jury, he's no longer a cop. He's a cop after. I mean, he's a cop before and not a cop after. That's that.
I wonder if they're gonna make the case so big and bring in so much stuff that by the time they get to the cop, they'll just be so sick of hearing things. And
What? I can't imagine Fani Willis' office going to blur the evidence with a lot of crap. How can you say something like that?
I'm surprised that they let McMullen plead. I thought for sure they were gonna try to get one of the Thomas murder. Thomas or Drinks? I can't remember which one it was.
Drinks.
Yeah.
No.
Was Thomas?
Yeah, you're right. No, that's Donovan Thomas. Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah. I thought for sure they were going to try to stick it on him.
I mean,
so they can have a face for the.
Yeah, but after what was shown in the first trial, seriously, I mean, I feel bad for the Thomas family, but there's no way of telling. I argue to this day that drive-by car is not an Infinity. It's the wrong grill. It's the wrong damn grill.
A guy who was ducking and dodging the bullets before literally said it was a Pontiac Bonneville. So
Yeah.
that's what he made sure to continuously say that, which he was trying to tell the prosecution in secret. Hey, assholes. Yeah, no statute of limitations on a murder. You might want to start launching this somewhere else. That's how I took it as.
Yeah, definitely. But they did put in Infinity expert or whatever he. Well,
can you see the lights? No, but are they there? Yeah. Like Keith Adams' eyebrows that was absurd.
Oh,
There's like a maintenance guy. Was he like a
something like
engineer?
that, a maintenance sales guy of sorts. I don't know. And
The
can you
Cupid
identify it
leader.
at? Can you identify it at the gas station? Well, yeah. Is that the car you see on the drive-by? It's the wrong damn grill. I said it immediately once I saw the drive-by at the when they first showed it. That's not an Infinity. The light car driving by is not an Infinity. It's the wrong damn grill.
Yeah. They should pay attention to witnesses a lot more, especially people who were there at the scene. Like that's a pretty big indicator of how you should start your investigation. I've never been a cop nor a lawyer, but I would just think that all the TV shows I watch that that's how you would do that.
And I just hope, because if they're putting on a 3 or 4 month case against Eppinger, I hope his attorney. I mean, that's a hard case to defend with all of that crap alone. Because in the first trial, there were 6 of them. Well, there were more defense attorneys. It was 10 or 12 defense attorneys. Right. And all of a sudden, Eppinger is stuck there with 1 against the entirety of Fani Willis district attorney's office. And
just the sheer amount of information, sheer amount of data is overwhelming. I'm sure they're not going to, cull it down for him. They're just going to say, here's the 8 plus terabytes of data. But what's funny in Eppinger's case is there was, let me see, I can't remember. I think it was just relating to Lucci, the attempted attack on Lucci. There's a moment where Eppinger's asking if he can get money from Jeffrey Williams for the attack. Right. How much money was this for? How much can I get? That doesn't really sound like the way you talk to a gang leader if you're one of the
no.
You're not like, hey, how much will the guy pay me?
No. I mean, if there was a gang and there is an actual gang leader, you don't ask how much can I get if I do that. You will get the order to do that, and you do it without compensation.
Or you would already know it as well. That's one of the things. You would know exactly how much it costs. In the Young Dolph case, they gave you a list of Young Dolph was 100,000, Key Glock was 50,000, Moochie Great was 25 grand. Like these things had already previously existed. So there's your incentive right there. Begging for one is completely
I mean, and
so not gangster.
Yeah, and I'm not saying I know a lot, but if somebody walked up to me hypothetically and said, how much are you willing to pay me if I do this? I would assume this is a snitch.
Is he doing again?
It's always a snitch.
I have no idea. My immediate response is, who are you? I mean, I've never seen you before in my life. Stop talking.
How much money will you?
Up with the collar. How much? I mean, no, it's just. Oh, this. 24
oh my
million
God.
Kids. And she kept repeating it, Vivorito, after. No, pink diamond in head worth 24 million. With this knowledge, I mean, the question to her was, with this knowledge, would you still argue? And she said, yeah. Okay, so you're a
She
moron.
thinks she's right. She thinks she's right. She believes she's in the right.
Yeah.
There's no person in the rap community that, even in the streets of America, as a part of an urban gang, that is worth $24 million dead. That's next to
Yeah, I mean,
that's corporate espionage money right there.
Yeah.
Jeez, the fucking Weezer. Jeez, golly, there was like even Belknap, like golly, you didn't know what the hell he was talking about, and I had to refrain so much, or restrain myself and refrain from saying certain things because I'm like, fucking cops are watching me. Like, I'm like, man, I'm not actually gang expert these idiots, but it's just the whole damn
incestuous thing with the gang experts in Georgia is that everybody is teaching each other, and they are more or less not teaching about how to recognize gangs. They are teaching themselves how to help the prosecution prosecute alleged gangs.
Right.
I think they just need to focus on training them to be cops first, rather than jumping to, like we said, Ceddy, ask the guy at the scene what kind of car it was and start from there. You don't need to know anything about gangs to do that. I mean, I've never been a cop or a lawyer either. But
it's just one of those things where, like, enunciation has to be everything. So you don't see jalapenos and automatically go jalapenos. You just don't. But Belknap would. Belknap 100% would. And I know that based off of the fact that somebody told him, but they did not tell him how to say the word. So there's a Swahilian word that says blood. He found that out. I think he found that out through rap songs. Probably not. Because now I think about it, he couldn't have, because they would have told you how to say this shit. He said Damu. D-A-M-U. That's not how you say that shit. It's Damu. Literally. And he said it like 3 or 4 times on the stand. I'm like,
he only has stuff on paper, and nobody tells him how to pronunciate it. I mean, he sounded like a Swedish guy trying to pronunciate chat, which my beautiful audience for the first year and a half of my career as a streamer didn't correct me when I said it with the Swedish sound. So for a year and a half, I thanked everybody in the chat. Thanks, guys. Nobody corrected me.
It probably should have just let you live with that one. That would have been hilarious.
Yeah.
You could have been a global ambassador right there.
Eventually, everybody told me that my sounds were wrong.
What's funny is I think they don't remember how many there's a record of the things they say about who's in what gang. So if you go back from 2015 and you look at the alignment of gangs, it's like 80 gang is under Bird gang is under If gang, but then 2 years later it'll be Bird gang's affiliated with If gang, and Haiti gang's a separate thing, or Haiti gang doesn't even exist anymore.
Yeah,
it just changes so much over time. Or like
secret label being called Free Bands with a bird, and then a collaboration with a group that represents snakes. So you would infuse that together like normal people would. Like when we get an Irish holiday and all of a sudden your favorite team logo is green, that kind of stuff, but it doesn't exist anywhere else in the urban / rap community.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that the NFL banned the slime motion?
That's not
that's 100% Doug's fault. That's Doug's fault right there. He brought in Tyreek Hill doing that, and yeah, I was just like, God, dog. You root for the Dolphins, man. That sucks.
But there's so much crap that was going on. But what do you think will happen to Eppinger? Will there actually be a trial?
Hell
I
yeah,
think
they're gonna bury it. Are you serious? Do you know what's gonna happen to him? She's going to scorched earth on him. This is what I'm more curious about is the press conference after. That's what I'm.
Yeah, and it should
I'm going to
start.
do my best to ruin it. I'm working on stuff.
Yeah, and that trial should start soon, isn't it?
Yeah, first election.
I just hope it's televised. God, I hope it's televised.
I can check with Kathy if they are actually, because she promised a few months ago. Of course, we're going to stream the YSL trial part 2, but now when there's just one left,
they will. And I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Joe.
I was gonna say, I feel like shit just happens around Eppinger. Like,
it seems like Eppinger is one of these guys who just happens to be where shit happens.
Law 11.
Yeah, he can walk out of a bus and somebody commits a crime near, and all of a sudden he is involved. I mean, he's
9. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. No.
Oh, I mean, do we get to see all the gang experts again? Do we get to see Velasquez again? Who are we actually going to have to?
I guess the older ones probably not, right? They probably wouldn't have overlapped with him. Because he's really younger.
Yeah,
no. They're gonna go for what they're going to try to do. I believe is set the foundation for the next group of youngins or young cats out there, because unfortunately there are a couple of bad apples that still exist around that area. So I think they're going to prepare for down the line, get 5 or 4 years later for another YSL part 2 with young men who aren't aware that you probably should have been watching this shit. Like, you probably should have been watching a whole lot of this stuff. This is a cultural study that should have morphed into a phenomenon. Should have took Brian Steele taking off his shirt to show that he works out, ready to go to jail. But
he's got a case coming up. He's got several cases coming up, actually. But there's the the Greg King case. But then there's also, he represents, so there's the Club Crucial, the Antonio Sledge case, there's the drive-by and all that. There's Darren Mills, who's the nephew of the woman who testified, who was shot. She's dressed in black. So he represents somebody on the other side in that case. And they just got a new trial after waiting for like 4 years for a new trial transcript. So he's going to be representing somebody in IFGAG.
You mean Doug? Doug is representing Oral Steele.
Brian. So he has, I think it's Darren Mills. But then there's a guy named Quatez White, and he's going to be getting a new trial soon too. They're both in Haiti gang, or were in Haiti gang. But it's going to be interesting to see that, because it's the exact opposite. Maybe we'll hear the other side of April 28th of those events. Let's see.
Yeah, but
there's
there's
some
so much.
Detective Dennis nonsense. He doesn't recognize that lyrics are even lyrics at all, and he quotes Future.
Yeah,
he doesn't realize that's a Future quote, and he's saying like this is a direct statement about the specific crime.
Yeah, I mean,
and the album came out like a week before. It's like it's Future. It's Future. Like it's not even like, that's not even a deep cut. That's just like.
How did Dennis pass the detective exam?
He walked right past it.
Yeah.
And they're bullies. They're 100% bullies. Those are the cops that other cops complain about, because there's no way that they should have reacted the way that they did and how to get under a cop's skin is take away their overtime and not give them more money. So if you can kind of see, it's a lot of crap, man. First, they left because, you know, the blue flu exists, and it exists prevalently in Chicago the most. So a lot of these quote unquote shootings that happen because lack of police presence. So when you see Memorial Holiday, 4th of July, if you go check out the call logs of the police officers who call in or the damages to antennas that exist, it's literally you could formulate a lawsuit as you had a lawyer had the balls big enough to do it. And as far as Dennis and Gaither go, they just were in it for the money and the fame. That's all that. It wouldn't surprise me if Gaither has slept with as many women as Young Thug has. Like, it just would not surprise me at all because of her reputation and the need to feel justified in the BS. They left the force because the force did not want to give them more money and more power.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
Yeah. And Detective Gaither left after, what was it, 19 years. Just a few months
before the summer.
Yeah. She left the force to be, full pension is 20. She left after 19 years. Then she joined the neighboring counties as a DA's investigator. And she did that for 3 months before she decided it's not for me. Folks, I've been doing labor and employment law for over 30 years. That is a person who got an option. I know Doug disagrees with me, but I stick to it. Even though I know there's no actual evidence of it, this tells me she got the option. Either you quit or you're fired. Because once...
I disagree.
Oh, yeah, but twice. Oh, first, just months before full pension, and then over to a DA, another neighboring county's DA's office, and just after a few months, she's gone again, and then she started working with the team, the
Atlanta Hawks.
Atlanta Hawks.
So let me ask you this question: did you see her exit interview?
No.
Do you know it existed?
Yeah.
It definitely tells you exactly. It shows her pattern of behavior.
Okay, I need to watch.
Her and Dennis created a little coup d'etat, if you will, and basically they quit before the summer happened. That's where the crime started to rise. You know, it's a lot of kids that don't have nothing to do. They have nothing. They have nothing. There's no summer programs. There's no anything out there for these kids to take care of. They knew all of this crap. That's why Dennis went to St. Louis. She didn't just quit. Her and Dennis quit as a team. Yeah, remember, she was decorated damn near by her second year. And her reputation is what her reputation is. I won't sully it any further because the black law student somehow did that.
Oh, have you seen what he is doing nowadays, by the way? Black law student?
I never believe that guy, bro.
I wish I had said it. I could tell there was something wrong, but I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna.
Because I remember I had him on a panel show with me, Doug, and somebody else, and Doug started asking him questions, and I was like, "Oh, this is bad."
It was cool. Like you said, Ivy League law school. Like that's not a thing in law school. You don't say Ivy League law school. There were just a bunch of things he said that were kind of. It's just must be right. Yeah, it's like any job you have. Any job you have, you can tell whether somebody, it's just not like I know stuff thing. It's just like a feel thing,
Yeah, but do you know what his channel does now?
No.
He sells fragrances.
Oh, that's nice. I'll definitely tune in for that. Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, so he's talking about fragrances suitable for a certain complexion, so to speak.
It's funny.
Yeah, I mean,
I damn near don't even want to tune in because if you say some BS, like if you go for like a high power musky smell in the morning, I'm gonna be pissed. I'm gonna be extremely pissed
Yeah,
So I'd be curious what he would suggest on certain occasions. Like, what is your first day fragrance? What is your lunch fragrance? Because you don't want to overpower senses in the damn morning. You want more so like, I don't want to say aqua based type of stuff, but that's the kind of thing that you want. You want to like a smooth selling kind of thing, because an intense ass morning is going to lead to very bad results. Just yeah. Yeah, that'd be fun. But I knew he was full of shit when he said this. And there was like by the second or third day he was out with the Gaither stuff, when he said he talked to the president of operations with Atlanta,
yeah.
and you were not a season ticket holder. I said you have no economic buying power, so why would they listen to you? I watched him kick out Boosie, and he had season tickets for years. If a person as vocal as Boosie can't get the Atlanta Hawks to capitulate, who the F are you? It's just stuff like that when you, yeah.
There are levels of power, and there are all of them apart.
Mm.
And if it was like, yeah, I mean, if it was like Young Thug himself, like, okay, maybe, but we don't even
The
know who he
limo.
is.
The limo was
Private
everything.
jet.
Holy hell. I was just like, you have to be sleeping with the owner then. That's the only way. That's sugar girl treatment. That's sugar baby treatment. Like you gotta be a sugar daddy. There's no way in hell. You had to be sleeping with this man.
Flying him in.
I know.
Oh man. I wish I knew who he, did we ever find out who he was aside from just not that guy?
A
No.
terrible person. A very terrible person from what I've heard from a couple of women.
Okay. So he's not just like a harmless internet. Okay.
Nah, he found out, I won't say who, but he found out some information on a person and basically try to extort them for 20 grand. And at that point in time, I wish I'd have known that person. I'd have said, go straight to the FBI. Go straight to the feds.
Yeah. All right. Folks. Well, the next trial is on its way. I will contact Kathy Russon of Law and Crime and see if they are actually going to stream it.
They'll do it, because go look at the streams on the other stores that they have. They're nowhere near anything that even the last one who, the second to last one who just played out, they have to bring it up. And the way that Fani Willis is going to attack Brisk, I don't know what religion he is, that if he believes in anything, he better be praying and bringing whatever thing he has and had that on his neck the whole entire time, because she is going to make a freaking, she's going to paint him as a mastermind and as a cold-blooded killer, as a person who did the bidding of the whole entire game. He's going to be what she tried to portray to the media, and it's not going to be fair.
Nah.
Yeah, she don't work there making him hate her, because he has some robbery charges. Huh?
I got some stuff lined up for them.
Yeah,
It's not gonna help him, but like it might help somebody.
Yeah, but if it's streamed, I'm going to cover it. As I said, my audience way back in April or May of 2023, gavel to gavel, and
I'll cover it.
Yeah, definitely, because it will be it will be a crap show, absolute crap show, and we know about the witnesses. We don't know what witnesses or which one of the original witnesses they will call, but it doesn't really matter, because they will try to do the same in this trial as they tried in the first one.
I hope they do.
I suspect no less than 40 witnesses for sure. No less than 40.
Will we continue to cover Thug's civil case? Well, if there's news, there's news.
I was going to pick back up, and Ashley Merchant is on it as well. So
yeah,
Yeah,
Ashley Merchant is a beast in
I
the
love that
best
woman.
possible ways. They
tried to
when
fuck her on
everybody showed up for Steele, every available attorney in Atlanta showed up when when he tried to get Steele thrown into jail. That image of everybody in that hallway, and
So many
Glanville
errors.
refused to let them in. Refused because he knew he fucked up. He knew he fucked
I
up.
don't think he did. I don't think he did. I don't think so. If you go read it, they basically said he wasn't wrong, just wrong in the way in which he handled Doug telling them to get the F out.
Oh.
Yeah, like he had a thing where you can tell when he realizes he's wrong, but he's not. He knows he's wrong, but he's not willing to like concede it yet.
Yeah.
His voice gets like a little bit higher. And he starts saying this particular point in time a lot.
Yeah, because when she told him, "You are confusing civil contempt with criminal contempt," and you could see there almost like there's a difference.
Yes, like I haven't looked at it. Like I looked at it in years when there's a difference, but it's something like you think it's like, oh, it's a criminal trial, so it's criminal contempt, but it doesn't work like that.
That's insane. Yeah, that's.
And he has been a judge for a lot of years and a lawyer before that, and yeah.
No, he does good work on the military side. That's the funniest part about it. Like he does good military work. He's a military judge as well, and the shit he does there is to be commended. That's the most effed up part about it.
There's something about this case.
Yeah, veterans court. Yeah, veterans cases. Yeah, and he's absolutely killing it, pun intended, over there. I mean, he's doing great work, but but then it doesn't really translate to out of military court, does it? But then again, I've heard up until this trial, the YSL trial, everybody thought he was a good judge. So I don't know what happened. I really don't. But that is for another stream. We've been at it for 2 hours, and YSL Part 2 is coming up eventually. If it will be now in June or if it's getting postponed again, we don't know. But we will find out.
It should continue on like normal. I don't see why it would stop.
Yeah, because it should have started in April. March already. Yeah. And then one of the attorneys said he had conflicts, and yeah, there was a lot of weird stuff going on with this case with YSL Part 2 as well, with the attorneys. But yeah, now there won't be a team of attorneys against the full force of the Fulton County DA's office. But
very forceful.
Let's see. Did anything? Well, first of all, thanks to Sebastian for being a member for 17 months, and for Danish krona 50. Fanny is a thug. Well,
thugs get caught.
And thank you to Dave to cover the train ticket to Stockholm. That is nowhere near the train ticket to, but thank you. Fani Willis is. I don't know who Kwame Kilpatrick is. I have no idea.
I remember the name, but I don't remember the details of it.
And then Brandon showed up. Thank you. Look, Nick, you and I aren't going to play 68. No, we're not. I'm not going.
Oh, he got a pardon by Trump.
Really?
Oh.
Ooh-wee.
There's Trump a lot of. I mean,
pardon around, man.
The pardons from Biden, and then a bunch of the pardons from.
Oh shit!
I mean, when Biden pardoned child SA offenders, how the flame? Yeah.
So he was a mayor of Detroit.
He's a mayor.
Got convicted. perjury and obstruction of justice in 2008. Subsequently faced a second criminal trial in 2013. There he was found guilty on 24 counts of including racketeering, extortion, mail fraud, tax evasion. He resigned as a mayor in September 2008 after the initial conviction. So October 8th, 2013, he got sentenced to 28 years in prison. Whoo-wee.
Yeah. And if you want to
Anything
know,
down in Detroit, huh?
yeah, if you want to know about the Biden pardons I had issues with, I have a video on it because some of those were absolutely horrendous.
Yeah, that would don't stop there. Shit.
Yeah, he pardoned a doctor who skimmed chemotherapy medications from cancer patients to sell on the black market, which resulted
To other cancer patients, to be fair.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Wow.
we don't know how many people were, but since it's a doctor and who skimmed all those medications, which some cancer patients didn't receive and probably passed away from, but since it's a doctor and medicine, it was just a money issue.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in civil court that should be criminal, because if you cause somebody's death, there should be laws. There should be laws. Yeah, but that's another issue. Well, first, thank you to Doug for showing up, taking time from his vacation at Disneyland in Orlando. And
World.
thank you to,
That'd be Disney World. Disneyland is in LA. Well, Anaheim, technically.
Potato. I'm Swedish. Thank you.
You want to
Ceddy.
be cultured, man? I'm trying to get you cultured. World is in Orlando. And
I'm going to Miami in September, by the way. We'll be there from 19th to the 24th.
Why?
I'm doing another U.S. trip. Utah from September
You in
3rd.
Utah?
Yeah.
You like Utah?
Miami, Utah.
Utah, then Miami, because we have Donnie on over in Utah. You have Jeff Legalvices, who passed away this winter, just before Christmas. He is buried there, and I'm meeting up with his family. And then I'm going to travel in a camper van and visiting old movie recording sites, old Western movie recording sites. So it's vacation. And then I'm
You're
going
going to
Miami.
Wyoming too, I'm assuming, right?
Only Utah. I don't have the time for more than Utah.
Wyoming ain't that far from there. Like, it's a border state. So there's a lot of Westerners shot right there. I used to stay in West Valley, so that's right by Salt Lake City. But yeah, would they take you to Provo at least? Like, you'll be able to go to like Meade and all of that stuff. Like, you'll be able to see like the mountains, these orange and red mountains. It's a hell of a sight. It's like, oh man, it's.
If I get the time, and if I have the time, I will try to travel because Utah really, their alcohol is more expensive than here. So yeah.
Yeah, they're Mormons. They don't have happy hour. It's illegal.
Yeah, it's illegal to be happy in Utah. I know
It's
that.
happier, yeah.
And then I will spend the weekend and a few days in Miami. If the YNWMLE trial is going.
I get that. We're going to talk about rape and liberty. That motion she filed, it was the worst thing I've ever read. She was plagiarizing stuff from 1999. She was citing laws that haven't existed in decades.
Yeah,
Like,
and I read it,
to do.
and I've been trying to find time to get through because I missed out the past month of hearings and motions and everything. I mean, she is probably worse than Love at writing at writing motions.
I feel the same way about a certain prior attorney who let certain things slide. I get the same vibe from this case. Like, it's been going on for a couple months, and nobody on the team's noticed that. Like, it's just gibberish.
Yeah,
like the bond hearing was complete nonsense.
Yeah, and the YNWMLE case is weird because when you have all that evidence, why do it's almost as the Miami-Dade state attorney's office, they can't not do something. I mean, they can't avoid being corrupt. It's
try
stupid.
to frame somebody when you don't need to, or, you know, whether he did it or not. I mean, they have a ton of evidence, but they try to
allegedly.
make even more.
Yeah, this is also a case where looking at every shady things, because the first prosecuting prosecutor was disqualified because of Brady violation, and then you had the lead detective that asked another detective to lie for him, and that came out. So that is a case ripe for dismissal with prejudice as well. And it's weird because it's a really strong case.
It's so strong it makes them want more. They want more to make sure it's they make more evidence.
Helping the case out. Yeah, but okay. Thank you, Ceddy, and thank you to Jim, happily angry Esquire. And,
lawyer taken that could make it fit or something like that.
a lot of words to have there.
I've never used it before. I don't know, man.
Yeah, but thank you, both of you. Ceddy, tell the crowd what you are up to now.
I'm gonna read the transcripts from the Diddy case. I'm still waiting on this stuff with Lil Durk to happen. EDG needs to try to figure out a way to get his kids' cases heard out of California. California hates men. Like, as far as the family court system goes, you don't want to have a kid as far as being a man in California. It's anti-man there, 1,000,000%. I know from personal experience. Other than that, I'm back to dropping 2 to 3 videos a day on my channel, and yeah, I just had some good insight. I'm like effing 5-0 right now. I can't say in what, because I'm not doing anything. I'm just merely just asking certain questions that other people are asking, the people that they hired. And these questions were very prevalent to leading to certain people's freedom. So I very much need to probably save some money and just go to law school. Say F it, because some of this shit I see is insane. I mean, I know Doug tried to get a angry black law student to learn how to say pro hac vice. So that was fucking hilarious. Pro hac vice. That's amazingly arrogantly stupid. But
yeah, I understand that how there's different pronunciations in the United States about voir dire, but pro hac vice, that's kind of established.
They forget all the Latin stuff that America has in the English language. So,
yeah. Jim, thank you. What's up with you? Are you posting anything more on your channel, or are you taking a break?
Yeah, no, I posted something the other day, a couple days ago, but I'm working on cases. I have another case I'll be able to talk about soon, but it's a Georgia case. So I've been working on that a lot lately.
Yeah, and for me, tomorrow is Slightly Bust Friday Law Show, where I cover what happened in the Karen Reed trial that day, with a beer or 7. So
yeah, try to work on being first in that stuff. Shorten your titles. That helps out a lot more for the algorithm. So
yeah,
don't be as revealing in your titles of what just happened. Kind of be more so engaging of, look at it this way. Make somebody want to watch it opposed to giving them everything as to why they should.
Yeah, I've always had that problem, because I'm just I'd like to explain things too much sometimes. I need to be more, excuse the word, I need to be more clickbaity. Without actually not enticing. Yeah,
be more enticing.
Yeah,
because like what, I don't know what the title is on this one. What did it say? The failure of Fani Willis. let's get rid of the failure of, and then just put Fani Willis failure, and then put in our names. Because you don't necessarily need the YSL RICO part anymore. It's kind of associated. Or you can do YSL Fani Willis failure. That works out as well. But the failure part, you have to use, unfortunately, you have to use words like this: destroyed and exposed. Those are the words that will snap right into the algorithm. Everything else, unfortunately, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't register like it's supposed to, because you do great work. It's just you have to be far more enticing. You have to be shorter with your titles, and then make people want to. Because what you're doing is the should versus the want. Like, you guys should be watching this because, hey, it's the failure of Fani Willis, the YSL RICO trial, But the one is Fani Willis failed. You see what I'm saying? That right there would be perfect. You don't have to include our names. It's already, our names can just be inside of the thumbnail. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the title. But granted, Ceddy Nash being in your title does trick. I mean, I don't say trick. Does trip the algorithm for a good 300 to 1,000 views. I know that based off of what everybody else does. But those little things right there, those matter. Like, shoot, no more than 8 words if you can. That kind of stuff, because people watch from their phones. They don't watch from home.
Yeah.
So,
I come from a training where I write articles, both for myself and to others, more or less ghostwriting, and then you have to be explanatory. But yeah, I will take this into consideration, because my viewership has dipped somewhat lately, and it might be because when I did the YSL trial, I didn't need to explain anything. Everybody already knew. We had an audience. We had viewers. Oh, Nick is doing something YSL. I'm going to watch it.
Right. But so also, you had, I hate to say it this way, but you had a far deeper companionship than you do now with certain trials. Like, sometimes you'll stand alone with certain things, and it's like, okay, but you're not making me want to watch this. Your title's not making me want to watch this at all. Corruption in South Bend, Indiana, like that'll make me want to watch, opposed to top lies on stand for 4 hours straight. Like,
I know what you mean. I know what
you know what I'm saying. If I'm able to explain it, I think that's my only gift I have, is I'm able to explain it so that everybody, if you're 10 to 100 years old, can understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah. Thank you. And for you trolls out there, this is constructive criticism. This is how it's done. When you guys go over to my ex and say I'm stupid, no.
But I've learned that from dealing with some very, very strong-minded individuals on the criticism part. Even when I was like, I forget what I had told you, but I forget what I had said, but the way in which I said that, I think you probably could have picked up on that one as well. Like, if I criticize somebody, I more say, so you might want to consider doing it this way, opposed to saying, do it this way, because this is your channel. I can't tell you what the hell to do.
All right. Thank you so much. That is today's free lesson in how to improve your channel.
It's an opportunity.
Yeah, I love you guys. I love you guys.
See you guys.
All right, y'all have a blessed one.
Have a good one, everybody. Thank you for showing up. Thank you guys over at Rumble. Thank you guys over at X, and thank you here on YouTube. You all have a good time, and I'm going to send you off to watch something with Trial TV Live. It's the Davis stabbings trial. So everybody, again, thank you so much. Oh, thank you, Pink Slime, being a member for 8 months. That is very, very nice of you. I will see you tomorrow in the Slightly Buzzed Friday Law Show. All right. See you. Bye-bye.
Defenders of the skies, defying the odds, to the defending the court.